Well, I am the convener of the Catholic Archdiocese of Sydney University chaplaincies. So my experience, having been involved here since I was a student, so probably about 13 years, is that a lot of people don't really know much about the place because corporate memory gets lost over time. It's possible there was a fire here. There's no evidence there was. The heritage architects and the historian and myself, looking through the history of this place as much as we could when it was being restored to what it is now and the new parts being built, never came across any evidence of that. This location is very much tied to the university and always has been. The land was granted to a fellow, I think his name was Hall. He built a house here named Cypress Hall. I'm not sure why he called it Cypress Hall, as an investment to lease to the university. It was purchased in the 30s by the Archdiocese of Sydney, the Catholic Archdiocese of Sydney, to become a girls' hostel for university students, girls studying in the city, kind of in union with or with some form of connection with Sancta Sophia College. Sancta Sophia College apparently rented this place too before they started. In the 30s they built St Michael's College and it operated for a long time, but they built a building around the original Cypress Hall, demolished the first floor and the dormer rooms and the attic, and built a college around that shell. And it kind of indicates the history of the site is a bit obscure because nobody knew that that old shell was here in 2008, 2010, until just before they were about to commence building what we have now. The heritage inspector found the remains of Cypress Hall in the old college. He picked it up because of the stairwell. He could tell that the stairwell was very, very old. He couldn't figure out what it was doing there, and then he kind of discovered that in fact there's part of a house in this college. It was decrepit. It had become just a college, not a girls' college. It had become a college. It was mainly filled with international students, mainly Chinese students. And as a student, I used to come here. I used to know the old rector, Father Muldoon at St Michael's College. But yeah, it was derelict. The chapel was badly looked after. It used to leak. There would be buckets around when it rained. But it also was shut, but wasn't developed for about 8 years. And so it became this mysterious place full of squatters with all the doors boarded up because there was, in my understanding, a legal battle between who owned the back part of the land between the University of Sydney and the Archdiocese. Yeah. I don't think it was very aggressive legal battle, but the question was being asked and eventually it was resolved, but that meant it couldn't be developed for quite a while. Well, look, I don't claim to be an expert on Honi, though I do know it better than the average Joe on the street, like us as students at the University of Sydney or a former student. There's no question in my mind, but it's my opinion, I don't have any proof, that it was essentially a story made up because they just wondered what this place was. I can't remember all the details of the article, but I remember the general conclusion was you can't really take this as being truthful. Maybe there was also something to do with people living here and might have been involved, because there was a whole variety of people squatting in here, a lot of uni students squatting in the place. I never saw them, but there was a hullabaloo about getting them out, and that you might have seen that in the newspaper archives, but yeah, I don't know. There was no backlash as far as I knew, but it was part of a certain amount of pressure to get the Archdiocese to do something about the building because it was sitting there derelict. So there might be a whole variety of things behind it, I don't know, but there was no significant backlash that I'm aware of. For better or for worse, I'm kind of in both camps. The college itself was closed. So the history of the college as a college ended in 2008, at least initially, and then now that this new building's been made it's an urban nest building, it's kind of that cultural memory fades. and the high turnover of people. No one would even know unless they were already in the know that St Michael's College ever existed.